Now, there's a group of receivers there that is a work in progress, Miles, and it didn't go too well yesterday for the Green Bay Packers. Let's hear from Aaron Rodgers on his expectations for this group of receivers that is still finding their way when it comes to, catching the ball.
Well, that's an excuse, so we don't like to say that. These guys are NFL players. There's expectation, whoever's in there, that they're going to play well. We had a lot of chances today. I'm not taking anything away from their defense, but we hurt ourselves many times, myself included. I had a lot of opportunities to score more than 7.
Well, and look, the Vikings went right down the field with a methodical drive that resulted in the first touchdown of the game, the first touchdown for Justin Jefferson, who ended up with 2, along with 184 receiving yards as his MVP campaign got off to a hot start. Christian Watson wide ass open on the first drive for the Packers. Ball in his hands, and he dropped it. And look, I don't know. Hey, the more you think about don't drop it, the more likely you are to drop it. And when you've been called out by your quarterback for, how much pressure is on you in that moment? I'm going to go back to the fundamental difference between Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. Off-season, Mahomes, all in. There for the voluntary program. Working out with his guys in Texas. Right? His guys aren't freaked out. Then you got Aaron Rodgers. Cameo appearance in the off-season. There for training camp. Starts calling guys out. And hey, I was a genius move. Call him out. Well, and it may just be that Christian Watson just dropped the ball, but at that level, you expect the guy to catch the ball, especially with those gloves. Those flypaper gloves. How do you drop that ball? That's your opportunity. What a difference that game would have been if Christian Watson catches it, runs it in, and it's 7-7 just like that, Miles.
Oh, of course, because, look, that also probably changes the complexion of what Christian Watson's confidence is in himself, what Aaron Rodgers' confidence is in him, right? He did a lot of things right on that play, except for the most important thing. He didn't catch the ball. You're looking at Patrick Peterson kind of flailing about back there. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? He's gone. It's going to be a touchdown, except he doesn't catch the ball and doesn't bring the ball with him. So yeah, look, we did talk about this last week too, where Patrick Mahomes was with all of his receivers throughout the course of that offseason program. Aaron Rodgers did not do that, right? He went and he did ayahuasca, found out more about himself. Again, he's got the right to do it. But look, when you look at what happens then in week 1, and we got to talk about this too. What's Matt LaFleur doing in week 1, man? I love Matt LaFleur. I do. And he's been one of the great head coaches over the course of the last few years. And Aaron Rodgers obviously helps that process. But those teams have just not been ready in week 1. Last year they got absolutely embarrassed by the Saints. This year they just, for whatever reason, were not ready to deal with pretty much any of the things that the Vikings threw out at them. And again, it's like, when Justin Jefferson gets as open as he was on some of those, I'm like, oh my goodness, man. I realize Kevin O'Connell's offense is new, but good Lord, the dude is going to make catches. They're going to go to him. So between the offense and the defense, it just, whatever is wrong with week 1, they have been able to correct it and go forward over the last couple of years, but week 1's not good for them.
And 61-10, I did the math last night, and math is always a challenge for me, but it was 38-3 in Jacksonville last year against the Saints. It was one of those move the location because there was an impending hurricane in New Orleans, and 23-7, 61-10 over the last 2 games. Now, we saw them win in 2020 in Minnesota in week 1, and that was a slice and dice carve 'em up game by Aaron Rodgers that helped to have no crowd noise whatsoever. But the Vikings might possibly be on the right track. Before we pivot to them, though, an interesting stat. Davante Adams had more receiving yards in week 1 than all of the Packers receivers combined. Adams had 141. The Packers receivers had 120. But Adams was with them last year, too, for week 1. So there's some deeper issue here where there needs to be a more concerted effort to get the team ready for week 1, at least show up in week 1. That is odd. When you consider the guy's won 13 games in his 3 years as a head coach and went on to win 13 of the final 16 last year after losing in week 1, you can't just take a mulligan every year because that one game that could have been a win is going to potentially loom over the final standings. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.